I'm here ahead of Dr. Elham Manea's Portland State University lecture. Dr. Manea is an associate professor of political science at the University of Zurich. Now, can you tell me a little bit about your forthcoming book, Islamism Mainstreamed, please?
Well, the main argument is simple. Very often when we talk about Islamism, we focus on the violent form of it. I'm just saying we have a spectrum, and we should focus rather on the non-violent form of it, because these forms, in fact, pave the ground for the violent that comes afterwards. I'm hoping to make it clear that just focusing on the non-violent Islamism is misleading, that we're dealing with a very complex phenomena, has structures, a system, and an ideology. And that ideology was systematically mainstreamed. And with that, I am convinced, just as it was possible to mainstream this extremism, it's also possible to reverse it.
In your experience with working on this book, you traveled to several different areas. I know Molenbeek in Belgium was one, a suburb of Brussels. Can you describe what you saw and experienced there and observed?
I saw a very sad picture, in fact, of a close community left to the control of a form of extremism. And this has to do, in fact, with the policies of the Belgian authorities in working together, allowing the building of a great mosque at the end of the 60s in return of oil, cheap oil. They allowed the creation and the building of a great mosque from Saudi Arabia, which was responsible for the training of all the imams. And Molenbeek is populated by migrants of Moroccan descendants. And Moroccans have or follow a very moderate form of Islam, Malikiya. And unfortunately, these kind of agreements, this policy, these measures led to a certain kind of radicalization of the Islam practice within the close communities within Molenbeek. And you end up with a situation where the older generation, in fact, are more moderate than the younger generation. And that was not coincidental. It was an outcome of structures and of an ideology that has been systematically mainstreamed.
You've spoken out about how the term and label Islamophobia can be used to silence legitimate critiques. Can you speak more about this?
Yeah, because what I use is the expression of anti-Muslims racism. I think that describes a certain kind of a problem where individuals belonging to a religion are being targeted because of their religious faith. However, Islamophobia has been used systematically, especially by Islamists themselves, in order to stop any critique to their ideology, to stop any critique to their policies and measures. That said, on the other hand, there is another dimension to Islamophobia. It's actually undermining the freedom of expression that we should really cherish in our societies here. It was really hard won. And from that perspective, I would say religion is a set of ideas. I have every right to criticize ideas. And if I am, like many others in our society, Muslim majority societies, if we are to undertake the task of reforming our religion, then how are we going to do that without criticizing ideas? So from that perspective, it's one way of stopping the discussion before it even started.